Hello, everyone. My name is Anea, and I'm a mentor at Clarusway. Today is a special day. We have a special guest. We have one of our alumni, Burak. Hello, Burak.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, and thanks for joining us, and thanks for accepting to share your journey with us.
Sure.
So just to make a short introduction of what we are going to do today, I will ask some questions to Mr. Burak about his experience with Clarusway. At the same time, if you have any questions, you can ask it at the question and answer part. We'll try to answer your questions. So could you please make a short introduction of yourself, like a general introduction?
In general, so yeah, just like I don't know where to start, to be honest with you. I've been with Clarusway for 6 months from January 2022 till the end of June 2022. So I guess it was about 6 months. It was a pretty good experience actually for me. So I was just doing something else, but I just got a kind of degree in computers too from before. So I was just trying to get back to my computer field, I would say. And out of all the programs Clarusway, had the cloud, being a cloud architect and the DevOps engineer was the nicest one I could kind of pick. I really like that program, so I started with that one actually. And then. Right around July, I started just applying for jobs, and I was able to start one at the end of July. My start date was actually July 25th in 2022. So.
Okay, so congratulations about that, firstly.
Yeah.
And secondly, you mentioned that you had a degree in computer science, right? In
Yes.
Something related to computers, but you weren't doing that kind of job, right? So what job were you doing before deciding to, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Yeah, I just finished a degree in computers, and I worked in computers in some years, but right in between, I would say for a few years, I was doing some business, to be honest with you, with some of my friends. Actually, I was kind of a little getting away from the computer field. And I was just at the same time trying to get back to my computer field again, and it was good actually with Clarusway. I was just kind of thinking to just go with them to get some more insights of cloud and DevOps. So and then I started Clarusway, and then it was pretty good actually. So but I was doing some business. And be honest with you, on the side, I was just still doing some computer work too, as always I've been doing. But as I said, it was nothing to do with usually cloud for a while. So I was just trying to get into cloud more, and that started with Clarusway. Yeah.
I see, but it always was a part of you, right? The computer was always a part of your life.
Kinda, yeah. I would say that for sure. Yeah, that's right.
So, can I ask you, why did you choose Clarusway? What made you choose our bootcamp?
Yeah, I was just trying to check all the other boot camps too, and for Clarusway, especially for cloud and DevOps. And I found Clarusway. We were the 10th class with Clarusway, and it seemed like Clarusway got lots of experience with the cloud and DevOps. So the Clarusway was the one actually with most experience actually in cloud and DevOps. I guess that's why, because I was. How it works. I was talking to some other programs too, some other I would say brand names for boot camps too. But Clarusway was the one I thought that actually with the most experience in that field. So that's why I started Clarusway. Yeah.
All right. So there are a lot of boot camps out there, and you can check online for them, and you can see the review. Okay. And I got one more question about the let's say, there are a lot of fields that you can choose when it comes to computer science, right? You can do full stack, you can do DevOps, you can go to cybersecurity. So why AWS? Why DevOps?
Because I don't know, first of all, be honest with you, I was really good at computers, and I was just kind of thinking to start with something like one of the hardest ones. And I thought that actually like cloud and DevOps is one of the hardest programs. And you know what I mean? Like the hardest is usually the most precious. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to looking for a job and stuff, you know, like if you kind of complete and success in the hardest one, you will have a better chance to get something in the job market. That was one thing. And one other thing was that too, like everything is moving to cloud now, and like it's a pretty new thing, but it's gonna be the thing of future. That's how it seemed like. And I was even like watching all those videos. Like I even watched like one of the videos for CEO of AWS, and he was just saying that actually, you know, like when you say Amazon, like most of the people think that actually, oh, Amazon, I know, like you sell stuff, you buy stuff, right? But the CEO is like in general understanding, but the CEO AWS was saying that actually like AWS, Amazon is making a lot more money than selling stuff with AWS. That's one thing. And he said that actually, he stated that like now, like we're just improving our like cloud environment day by day. And we are thinking that actually we're at around like 20%.
Okay.
You know, like it's gonna like you think like what's gonna happen when they're at 100% or just going up to 100%. It's gonna be our future. I mean, like everything. Like even I was like you know, following some LinkedIn groups too, and there like I was seeing almost every month like one of the biggest companies in the US just moving into cloud. They're just like, you know, like putting canceling all their like data centers, everything. They're just moving into cloud. Like Bank of America, I heard. I guess Best Buy, I heard. They're like moving their infrastructure into the cloud. Like cloud is the new thing. It's the future, and that's very important. Like if you know cloud and if you have good experience with cloud, then the future will be good for you. I guess that's what I
Yeah,
those are the reasons actually I was thinking to go with cloud.
definitely.
And DevOps. Yeah.
Definitely. So I mean I had some other questions, but before we get to our question, we have a question from one of our attendees, from Bertan. I mean the question is, as you can guess, about the job hunting process. So he's asking, how was the job hunting process? Are the skills we learn within the class going to be beneficial in the job hunt?
Yeah, mostly yes. I can say that actually. I will be honest with you. With Clarusway, with cloud, I can say like I was just trying to get the solution architect, you know, certification. For example, that was my first goal, and I got that actually. I guess I was one of the first ones in the class actually with that certification. And I would say like with Clarusway, around like 75 to 80%, it was good. But maybe like for 20%, you know, like you would have to just like study and do some extra work, like extra study just by yourself. In general, it was like really satisfying. It was pretty good. The practices were pretty good. Like the hands-on practices were pretty good, and the projects were like pretty good. It was really good. But like as I can say, like it's always 70% and 80% up to the Clarusway and your class environment, maybe I would say. But always there's that 20-25% you have to do something. Like it's not 100%, you know, like
definitely. Things cannot be that easy, right? I mean, there is always something extra, and actually in 6 months or in 1 year things develop pretty fast, so you need to keep up, right? You need to keep up with the pace.
That's one thing too. Even like I just got my certification for being a cloud architect, and then in a month or so, like they upgraded the exam. Like it gets like renewed, the new versions coming up. It improves all the time. Like every few months or maybe 6 months and whatever, they even upgrade the exams and you know, like the content and everything. So like yeah, you have to always keep up with that. Actually, that's your part. But the things we have studied and learned with Clarusway, it was pretty helpful. Actually, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I hope that the answer was satisfying for Bertan too. So thank you for asking this question though. Now I want to ask something about your time at Clarusway. So how was it? How was your, let's say, your studying system? Like, were you doing a job at the same time? Were you working at the same time? Or like you were just focused on your studies? So how did
Yeah.
it go?
Yeah, be honest with you, like it was my hardest part. I was working at the same time as full time, and I was just, because I was kind of, yeah, working at the same time, just like on my full time job, and I was just studying and trying to get there actually like at the same time. It was the hardest part for me actually. So like, I was some weekends, I was like on Saturdays and Sundays, I was like studying like hours and hours like to keep up with the studies like the work like like we studied in the weekdays, and it was, I don't know if it's still the same or not, but it was about like 15 hours a week, like 3 hours every day. It was like 5 days and lots of stuff, like you learn lots of stuff, you have to study, you have to practice, you have to go over them again like in the weekend, and it was kind of kind of hardest part for me, but I was working at the same time. Yes.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you really want to succeed something, then it works. It is difficult because I was part of, and I still am. I still have 2 more weeks to finish my full stack bootcamp. I'm doing the same, working full time. At the same time having my course, working also with Clarusway. It is definitely difficult when you have a full-time job, but at the same time, you kind of understand the value of what you're trying to learn, right? Because you are competing with people that maybe have much more free time than you do. So
Yeah,
maybe it makes you work harder.
yeah, that's right. But like my advantage was actually I'm already a computer guy. So like for example, when everybody was trying to figure out some of the stuff, like I already knew some of them. So like that was my easiest. That helped me a lot.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's the thing. Yeah.
Definitely help. Okay, and just I've got one more question, but before I get to that, I want to tell to people here that if you have any questions, you can definitely ask from question and answers part. We are here to answer all those questions. So just to let you know, okay. So I wanted to ask about like during your studies, was it easy to reach people at Clarusway? Like, how was your time with your mentors, with instructors? Like was it kind of easy to reach people, or did you have to wait to get an answer, for example?
No, it was pretty good. Like we always had like some projects, like like every couple of weeks or whatever. So like, and when you try to do it, like most part you could do it by yourself, but some of the parts sometimes you couldn't figure. Like we were asking questions to our like mentors or our instructors, and they were just getting back to me really quick. And that's what that was pretty good. And at the same time, those study groups with Clarusway, we had a study group of like maybe 10 people. I can't remember now, but 5, 6 of them were really active, and we kind of made new friendships, like new friends with that group. And even in the weekdays, we had our numbers and WhatsApp too. Like if there's anything, there's a question, we were just talking and asking questions back and forth, and it was pretty good actually. That study group was pretty good, really helpful. And also, yeah, when we had any questions, we would ask like the instructors and mentors. They were just getting back to us like pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is pretty true what you said about groups. Like usually people who are pretty successful are people that can like have been working with a nice group, because people just help each other, support each other, somehow push each other, because there are moments
Exactly.
when you feel that I can't handle it anymore. Did you have any kind of that moment? I can't handle it anymore. It's too difficult for me.
Be honest with you, in the first 3 months, it was usually okay for me in the cloud side, but in the DevOps side, yeah, I was getting like overwhelmed like in the last month or so, because like we learned all that stuff in cloud. That's a lot, lots of services of AWS, and you learn like all those tools for DevOps on the top, and then it's coming up to the finishing point, like in the last month or so. You kind of feel that's what I felt that actually like I learned too many things, you know what I mean? And then you try to sort them out, you try to put them together, you try to kind of like, analyze them and whatever. Yeah, like at times, I had some, I can say like thoughts like that, like I was thinking like what to do and then what service to learn more, and try not to forget the things you learned from before, like those kind of feelings I remember actually. But the thing is, like in Clarusway, like in the cloud side, you almost kind of use everything. But in the DevOps side, though, like when you go up to the field and the market, like every company using kind of like different tools, and like we learned like 9 different tools with Clarusway. But like for example, the company I'm working at right now, like we only use, like I can say active like 4 of them. You know what I mean? Like you learn a lot, but you don't use every single one of them, in the market, or you know what I mean, like in practice. You gotta know that too. But I was just trying to put everything together, all those tools and everything. That was the hardest part, because that makes a lot. So.
Okay, so we've got 2 more questions. The next question is from, so I'm just trying to ask the questions one by one, by the way, guys. I'm going through, by order. So it's another question from Bertan. He's saying that we just finished our AWS cohort and we will start the DevOps part next week. Do you have any tips for me?
Yeah, be honest with you, like what I did, from my experience, like I knew that was going to happen. That's why I did that. Like there was a week just in between, and I was like studying like at the same time, like really close, the solution architect exam oriented. In that week, I didn't go to work. I called like, I got my off time like for my work, and I studied about a week. And after a week, I took the exam, and then I was successful at the first time. So that was my thing, because, the tip is this: you learn all that stuff with cloud. And if you don't kind of like use them, you might kind of forget some of the stuff. So you're going to have to remember after, like if you leave the exam, if you want to take that certification for AWS Solution Architect, if you want to just leave it after 3 months of the DevOps study, so it might get a little harder. I don't know, because I'm 100% sure you would be kind of like forgetting some of the stuff. You had to just like go over them again. And if you feel kind of you're like studied enough, you got the idea of cloud, and you can kind of like go, if you have that goal actually to take that certification, just this week would have been pretty nice to sit and study and try to get that certification done, like before the DevOps part, if you can. But we have, I did that. A few other people in my class did that too. But I know some of other classmates actually, they got the certification exams like after 6 months. That's okay too. But yeah, that was my idea. I was like, I focused on cloud, and I am kind of good with it, and I'm studying it. So like, I'm going to get the certification, and I will be ready for the DevOps part. That's what I was thinking. That's what I did. So, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like an answer from a really hardworking person, to be honest, and someone that does good planning. So Bertan is thanking you. Now I got a question from Pierre. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. The first he has 2 questions. The first one is, what is the best tip and good website to apply for a job? Say, like he's asking for a suggestion for a good website to apply for a job. And is certification mandatory to get?
I mean, the certification is never mandatory, but it kind of is valuable. I can say that actually, I was applying through LinkedIn, because for cloud and DevOps, I applied maybe for about a month. I don't know, like maybe 20, 30, maybe a little more jobs, like in a month, like few every day. And I got like pre-interviews, like really quick, 70 or 80% of them. And then I was just starting with my like technical interviews. And then, that was my 3rd interview. And then I got the job offer, and then, I didn't continue. And I only use LinkedIn. Like in LinkedIn, there were like enough positions, you can't even go bottom of the list in LinkedIn. Like there's hundreds, maybe like thousands of job postings in LinkedIn. I never applied any other place than LinkedIn because if it was like 2 months, 3 months or longer, I would probably apply all the job postings in LinkedIn, and then if it was finished, I would be going on to another, like maybe Indeed or whatever. But I never had a chance because LinkedIn was just good enough. It had like lots of postings, like it was more than enough for me. I only use LinkedIn. And the certification, yeah, like I mean, it's not mandatory, but it's something valuable actually. Like the companies like to see that certificate. When you say like I'm a cloud architect, I want to be a cloud architect, I want to do something with cloud, like they like to see that certification that proves something, like that proves that actually about you, like you know your stuff, or because it's not easy, be honest with you. That I don't know if anybody tried, or if anybody here actually has any experience with that, or maybe even you, like if you checked it or not. But it needs a really good study. Like that certification is not that easy, not that hard, but not that easy. So you have to know your stuff at some level, so to get that certification. So
it's a proof that you actually started, right? And it's a proof that it shows that you are taking things seriously at the same time. Okay, thank you for your answer. And we got a question from Usain. If someone has no computer science background like you do, what would you advise to them?
Yeah, I mean, like I can advise that actually, for example, a guy like me, I could do that actually with a full-time job, but I can advise those kind of people like drop everything and just focus on that actually, like 100%. And because for example, for me, let's say like after the class for 3 hours, like to practice that class and go over that class again, whatever it would take, like for a guy like me, maybe for an hour, and I will be done. You know what I mean? Like, because I knew the stuff, like I can understand most of the stuff. But for a person has no computer science background, that I mean might be like 3 hours, maybe five hours, because where I'm coming from is actually, like, for example, they teach you like cloud and DevOps tools. But while they're teaching you those like tools, for example, they're talking about like really simple stuff for a like normal regular computer guy, like IP address, TCP, IP, port. You know what I mean? Those are like really simple terms for a computer guy. Whenever somebody says IP address or port, a computer guy kind of understands like what it means. You know what I mean? But if you have no background and if you don't know those like terms in general, then I mean, like you gotta study a lot more, especially in the first 2 to 3 months. Then if I'm just studying like after every class about an hour, a couple hours, then you might need to study about like 5 hours after every class in the first couple of months at least. So that's what I would say. Like that's what you have to do. Like you need to study more, and you need to be more available. Like it would be really hard for somebody to try to do that actually with a full-time job, or or something else. You know what I mean? If you can free yourself for 6 months, or if you can free yourself, I don't know, 50%, 75%, that's my suggestion. If you have no background for computer science, even simple terms like HTTP, like website, internet terms, and general networking things, like those are like for a computer guy, those are not that hard. But for a person with no background, those simple terms even would be a kind of like something to study extra, right?
Yeah, they need to study basically. People need to get familiar with those terms. All right, and so we've got 2 more questions from Montesir. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Did you buy any AWS certification exam preparation to help you pass the AWS certification? And the second question is about the interview. So what kind of questions were you asked during the interviews? Did you use your GitHub account to highlight projects? Like, did you have to show it?
It's like, I mean, the first question, like the certification, yes, I bought something from Udemy just to like review everything, and then, you know, like study it like as a whole, you know, like with one package. So yeah, like I bought something and I finished one training. It was in total, I guess, 27 hours. Yeah, like I finished it. So in that week, I was talking about like between the DevOps part and the cloud part. In that week, in couple days, I finished that actually. Like in some parts, I was going like 1.5 times. You know,
the speed.
Yeah, for example, some basic stuff like for EC2, whatever, really like basic things. Actually, I was going pretty fast. For some of the stuff, I was going like at a normal speed, but I finished it in almost couple days. And I also like bought like the practice exams, and I studied on those practice exams in 2-3 days, and I was ready in 5-6 days after completing all these actually. So yeah, that helped too. Yeah, but with Clarusway though, like they have like the tips and some questions and for some services, some tips that those were pretty helpful too. Lots of content with Clarusway for the certification exam too, and they opened those for us, and then I was kind of checking those too. So those were pretty good too. And for interviews, like I mean, it depends. Like they were all different interviews, different companies. Some of them were like more cloud oriented. Some of them were more like DevOps oriented. So, I mean, like they were asking, I mean, questions. For example, the most, I mean, I don't know if I tell some questions if you're going to be able to understand or not. For example, like when you learn DevOps, there's something called Docker. That's something really important, like in the DevOps world right now. They were just asking, for example, questions like, what's the difference between EC2 instance and a Docker container? Kind of questions. Other than that, like lots of questions related to cloud, and some questions related to DevOps like Terraform, Kubernetes, and Docker and Jenkins. Like it depends. And even like one of the interviews, like I went into like 4 technical interviews in total. This was the third one. So I got the job offer, and then I didn't continue. And my second interview, they even like made me like share my screen and then show them like they gave me kind of like a little project. Mm-hmm. And I did that actually in an hour, like in front of their eyes actually by sharing my screen.
Okay.
Some of the interviews are like that. Some of them are just questions and answers. Some of them are like, and my fourth one and the second one was like that. Like they make like the first interview, I don't know, they can't decide, or they want to go like into some of the stuff deeper or not. Like sometimes there's like that, and those technical interviews are the second ones usually, because the first one is usually for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. It's like interview kind of thing. Like they ask you like general questions. They try to see if you're okay, like you kind of deserve.
Familiar with the term,
and then like technical interview. And the second one is usually the second technical interview. And some of the companies are asking you for a third interview too. And the second one and the fourth one was asking me for a third interview, but I already got a job offer from the third one, and then I canceled them all, so I didn't want to continue. But like that was, and the first one, it wasn't too bad for me, but I guess nervous, and I don't know, like from the first one I didn't get anything back. The second one and the fourth one is like that, and the third one I work with that company now, so.
Okay, so in just 4 interviews, like getting a job offer is a pretty good, I would say, statistic, right? Just getting, and you didn't finish the second and the fourth one. Maybe you would get a job an offer from those 2.
Maybe, yeah. Like even like there were like more to come. Like I kind of sent back emails, maybe at least like 10 of them. I had like other interviews on the next weeks, following weeks too. But after, deciding to go with that company, I canceled them all. So like, but I had bunch of interviews actually in a few weeks.
So
Yeah.
you didn't go with what maybe some other companies may offer me more or a better opportunity, right?
Yeah, I mean that would have been, but like the thing is, this kind of company looked pretty good for me too. And then it's kind of hard to reject an offer and then try to go with the other companies. You wouldn't know like if the other companies would have been better or worse and whatever. And the thing is that the most important, this is a kind of like really big company. I was just more like thinking to start with a like bigger company, because I was talking to like a bunch of alumni like from Clarusway, what jobs like in the cloud and DevOps, and they were just suggesting me to like try for like bigger companies, and because you can improve more, you will have more things to do and whatever. So, and then this was a really good, because for example, out of those 4 interviews, the first one was a really big company too. The second one was a kind of like small company, mid-sized company. The fourth one was kind of like mid-sized company, and the third one was a big one. So like, and out of those 4, like, I like this one, and I didn't want to reject the offer, to be honest with you. But as you said, it would have been like more offers, more other opportunities, maybe if I continued like longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will never know that part. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to know that part.
Okay. I wanna ask you a question about the interviews. Like, how would you rate them as difficulty? Like, how difficult would you consider them? Like in a scale from 1 to 10, like when it comes to those interviews.
I mean, like it depending like on the company too. As I said, like every company uses different tools, and they're usually asking you specifically on those tools. Some companies are more cloud oriented. Some companies are more DevOps oriented. Yeah, like I mean, I was, be honest with you, like out of those 4 interviews, I was okay. I guess I was like the first one. I was, I guess, so nervous and whatever. And even after the interview, like a few questions, I thought that actually I would answer like better, but I couldn't at that time. I was kind of feeling maybe like nervous. That's why. But yeah, I mean, like as I said, like they were not that hard, but at the same time, like it depending on the company and the questions we were just getting. But I mostly was able to answer like most of the questions. Like and in the interviews, even like you're not supposed, you can't like answer 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're even like around, I don't know, 70-80%, that's kind of good enough, I guess. That's like they don't expect you to know everything. You would, like depending on the question, you would always technically, like you would always be able to say like, I don't know this one, or I know this one this much, whatever, like that's the part too. And I was like that actually. I was, to be honest with you, I was like kind of trying to be like as honest as possible to answer all those questions. But yeah, I mean, like you have to study for the interviews on the side, like the extra to do. Like, I mean, like after all that education, like somebody's asking you different questions. Yeah, it could be kind of like trick. Some of the stuff, even like sometimes hard to explain, or sometimes yeah, it's for the interviews. Yeah, that's. You need to get ready and get prepared, like little extra just for the interviews too.
Yeah, that's another field actually.
Yeah.
Knowing everything, being able to do something, but at the same time being able to know how to handle an interview. If you don't mind, I really want to ask you a question about your work environment now. Like, how did you feel at the very beginning? And like, how do you feel now? Like, how is a typical day of you at work? So those sort of questions.
Yeah, it's been 7 months now. Like first 2 to 3 months, I guess. I don't know if everybody's feeling the same or not. That's the probably hardest, because like every company has their own like unique infrastructure. And in order to be able to like work for that company, you have to just learn their way first too. For example, even not just for technical, every company has its own way how they work. For example, like even like there's a technical thing like you have to do. For example, in our company, we use just like there's different companies like using different services like Jira, ServiceNow, like all those like different tools, creating tickets. And then out of those tickets, you take the ticket and then you kind of like analyze it and you kind of try to answer the needs of people who created that ticket. You know, like for example, another department, like we have almost like 90 people in the IT department, and I am in the infrastructure team, like which has like 12 people. For example, there's data analysts, data science, there's like QA, there's software people, there's website people, and they need something something from AWS. Like they want me to just create them a server for something. For example, you just receive the ticket. They have all the specifications what they want. If there's anything missing, you can ask them, and then you kind of like take the ticket, and then you kind of try to create or do like what they want, and then you close the ticket, and then you put all the details, and then like they're happy and you're happy at the end of the day. But like even that procedure, just to create tickets, receiving tickets, closing the tickets, and how they work, like they have MS Teams and for example, Microsoft products mostly, and we use Outlook for emailing. Emailing is really active. Like sometimes we use like emails like chatting. Like you send something, somebody asking you something. Like emails are used really actively. Like you kind of get used to all that stuff first. And for example, for most parts, even like for you, like you usually maybe like depending on like your company if you work before or not, like but you usually work like simple environments, like even like when you work with Clarusway. But for example, for our company I work right now, they have like over 20 AWS accounts, and every single account does something different, and they're all related to each other too. Just to learn this whole infrastructure takes some time. So that was like in 2-3 months you get used to it. That's why I was just kind of like trying to go with a big company, because with big companies they're like more understanding, like they're just like helping you, teaching you, like they let you understand stuff, learn stuff more, and then they want you to do whatever you can, right? So but I was just talking to some of our friends from Clarusway, like the people who just finished with Clarusway before my class. Like they were just telling me, like some of them were just working for small companies. They want you to do like more stuff in that shorter time. You know what I mean? Like that could be even harder. But like for me, it was the first 2-3 months. I feel a lot more comfortable now. I kind of know almost 100% now what account does what, and then which is where, and then if they want me to create something, I know how and where, and then in what ways. It's getting better, like after 2-3 months, but the hardest is the first 2-3 months, I can say.
But they provided like a training period, right? And also people there were kind of helping you with the.
It's like not the like technical, like it's not like a study or training, but there are people who were there like before me who knew the stuff, who was able to do the same kind of stuff. And if there's anything you ask them, they were pretty helpful. They were just all teaching me. They were helping me. They were assisting me. Like it was pretty good. Yeah, I got all the help I needed actually. Like after I started, and as I said, after 3 months, I would say I was at a really good position. And then now it's been 7 months. It's even better now. Yeah, in most of the ways. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. We do have a last question, I believe, from Bertan again. So I'm pretty sure that Bertan will be quite successful. I mean, he seems very interested. So did you also get the cloud practitioner certificate?
Yeah, no, like I didn't get it, but it was I checked it actually. It was something like really easy. to get and has not much value, like out there. If you're gonna be like getting the solution architect certification, like eventually, you don't even need to take the cloud practitioner, because cloud practitioner is a really basic one, but solution architect is I would easily say like 5 times more difficult, and it has more content. If you're gonna get eventually like the solution architect, I guess, I don't know, you might not need to take the cloud practitioner exam. I didn't do that, so I didn't want to pay. I was aiming for the solution architect certification. I was like, yeah, why should I pay double? You know what I mean? Because when you take solution architect, cloud practitioner is.
So how much did it cost?
Nothing.
How much did it cost? The price of the certificate. How much did it cost to get it?
Yeah, it's a fixed price on the AWS. It's on the AWS website. I guess it's $150 US, like for those kind of certificates. There's different types of certification specialties and like regular. The regular certifications like this one, like a solution architect, DevOps, or and there's another one I just took actually a few months ago, developer associate. Those are all like on the same price, $150 US. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, when you take one, the second one is 50% off, I guess. Yeah, I paid only like $75 like for the developer associate exam. So.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I think I don't really have any more questions for you, Burak, because the point is that you were really helpful and like to share a lot. So it was really easy for me to have this conversation. Now, I want to ask the students here, if anyone has any questions, please let us know. Otherwise, we can just say goodbye to each other.
Yeah, I hope I kind of helped. I don't know, just like my situation, everybody's situation is different, so hopefully it will be helpful for.
Yeah, definitely helpful. You even made me think, hey, should I go with AWS now? Should I try myself?
And like for the exam?
No, I didn't take the boot camp. I just did a full stack, but the way how you explained and how how you made it feel so interesting, that made me think, maybe I should try to.
Yeah,
because
cloud is good. Yeah, it's the future. Like it's something growing every day, and then it will be for the future for like almost most of the companies. I don't think any company will be like doing their like data center anymore. They will be all like going on cloud, I guess, from now on, like mostly. So that's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger every day from now on. I guess that's how it seems like. Yeah.
Okay. And we do have one question coming from Montasir again. Any specific capstone project you mentioned during your interviews that stood out?
Yeah, okay. It's dependent on the question. Yes, definitely. Like the interviews, like they're asking you questions about your like previous experiences. For me, more like the project, because the project for DevOps, that capstone project was a really important one. Yeah, that one was a really like life real-time life scenario, like that big project. So I guess used that one actually like a few times, but yeah, but that one is really important. Like the one with AWS is really good and big too, but especially the one with DevOps class after 3 months of the DevOps class, that big capstone project was a really like real lifetime kind of project actually. Like it was pretty really helpful. So.
Okay. Yeah. So hopefully you are happy with the answer, Montasir. So Burak, I really want to thank you for sharing your experience, and I'm actually really happy to have met you. I don't know, guys. So it seems like there are no other questions. If there are, let us know. Otherwise, we can just say goodbye to each other. Yeah. Thank you for your question. Okay, Burak, any last thing that you want to share with people? Anything that you want to say? Any advice before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I mean, only thing I can say, like these boot camps, like I was, and just one thing I can just share, like I remember now, like one of my friends was just going to a college program for some DevOps tools like Terraform. Like he was just going to a college program. With this boot camp, what you learn in 6 months, you could probably learn at a college program in like 2 to 3 years. It's really heavy. I mean, you have to be really like, you have to have like really good dedication if you want to start and success in that program. That's all I can say. So like the content you could finish like in 2 to 3 years at a regular college program. It's 6 months here. It's, I mean, really precious,
Good
really good.
times,
It's
right?
really good to have all that information in a like time like this, like 6 months. It's really good. But yeah, you gotta study accordingly. So that's important. So,
Yeah, it's like not that easy to process, but at the same time, is helpful, right? Because it means that it can be done in 6 months. So why do you spend 3 years or 4 years?
exactly. I mean, it's a lot cheaper, a lot like better like time wise for sure. But
Time
it
is
takes
money
more
too.
study. It takes more study for sure. It's like instead of spending like 2 3 years of your life in 6 months, you could do the same, but you gotta be you gotta have a really good dedication. Like you gotta have a really good mindset. Then yeah, it can be done, and yeah, and it's proven. I guess there's and just not me, lots of other friends actually, they were in the same program, they got jobs and stuff. It was pretty good actually. I'm not the only example, so there were so many other people in our class too. So
Okay, and sorry, there's just one last question from Montesi. He says that if you think it's too personal, you don't have to answer that. Did you say you did a boot camp, or you just mentioned your work experience during interviews? I believe you mentioned the boot camp, but
I mean, yeah, I mean, like the boot camp, I mean, you got to have that study. Like without that study, like I mean, you can't even start. But most of the time in the interviews, though, like they ask you about your experiences, like previous experiences, and like at the boot camp, you always have projects at like real life, story level. So you have all those projects. Those are really important. So you can use those projects as your like experiences actually, because they're really good. Like you do some projects which are probably exactly the same or similar level, like when you go out there and work. Like you do projects like at like a lifetime level. That's really important, like those projects to mention in the interviews. But in order to be able to do those projects, you gotta have that study. So you can't, like complete those projects without knowing and studying like in that stuff first. So
you have to show during the interview that where have you learned to do this cool stuff, right?
yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like they're usually interviews, like they're not asking you where you learned them from, but they ask you like all that stuff, how you use them, and then in those projects you use them technically, like all the time. So you use those actually like in the interviews more.
Okay. So thank you very much for this wonderful conversation, and yeah, I think I can thank you in the name of everyone that participated today. Thank you very much.
Okay, have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye.